Hi, Michelle Glass here. Welcome back to another one of our Chapter 9, Lecture 9 videos. Our topic here is that synovial joint structure. We can also refer to these as diarthrosis joints. That's our physiological description. Is telling us that these joints have the free movement. We can put that in air quotes because it's not any imaginable type of movement. It is dependent on the articular surface as well as the way the ligaments and the tendons are attaching to the bones. So while we can talk about it as free movement, it's not exactly the case. All right, so you can either take notes and then use the artwork in your textbook, or you can try giving yourself this sort of basic diagram in your notes, and then we're going to add structures to it. So if you need to pause, go ahead and do that. All right, so we are going to be using the knee as our model for the synovial joint. And we're not going to get super detailed, but at the same time we kind of are. So we're going to be listing and describing the important components of a synovial joint. So the first thing we want to add in is the articular cartilage. Articular cartilage will be on the surface of the epiphysis, or the ends of the long bones. It is a specialized type of hyaline cartilage that's helping to protect the surface of the bone that is going to be in that articulation or joint. So it's helping to keep it from being bone, grinding on bone. It's some cushioning that's there. And so that's going to be an important part here. Then we're going to have what's called a joint capsule. The joint capsule is going to surround that entire synovial joint, and that is then going to create a joint cavity or a space. You will see that the joint capsule is lined by a synovial membrane, and one of the jobs of the synovial membrane is going to be to make synovial fluid. That fluid is going to do several important things. It's going to lubricate the joint, so it's going to add some fluid here in between the bone surfaces, again preventing it from being bone, grinding on bone. It's also going to just make a movement more easy to happen. It's also important in nutrient distribution, so you don't have blood vessels penetrating in this joint capsule because you would bend and break those capillaries, so that would be really bad. So instead, we're going to put nutrients and oxygen into the synovial fluid, and waste material will diffuse away from the living cells into the synovial fluid, and then it'll make its way back into circulation and be recycled by the body in that way. And then this fluid is also important in shock absorption. Inside the joint, you also have the specialized pads of fibrocartilage forming what is called a meniscus. Menisci with the I ending would be the plural form of the word. This is going to help channel synovial fluid. So it sort of acts as little sponges, soaking up fluid, and then as you bend the joint and squish that meniscus, then you're going to kind of move and propel some of that fluid. So movement of the joint is important in actually circulating that fluid through the joint. And then we also see that the menisci help to support the articular surfaces. Outside of our joint capsule, we have what are called fat pads. So these are pads or collections of adipose tissue, and it's an important packing material for the joint. It's helping to protect the articular cartilage and so forth. And then ligaments, remember, are those connecting tissues attaching bone to bone, and they are important in stabilizing our synovial joints. So we have what are called extrinsic ligaments. These are going to be outside of the joint capsule. And then we have intrinsic ligaments, which are going to be inside of the joint capsule. Again, ligaments are attaching bone to bone, and they're helping to strengthen and reinforce the joint. And then we're going to see what are called bursa, AE ending as plural. I've listed it here as a singular, bursa. These are going to be pockets of synovial membrane and synovial fluid outside of that joint capsule, doing the same job that that synovial fluid does inside of the joint capsule, but here kind of on the outside. So it's helping to reduce friction and absorb shock. A lot of times you'll see this underneath a tendon, so that as you are moving the muscle and the tendon is moving back and forth, you have kind of this gel-like structure to stretch against instead of something hard like bone. And then tendons, although these are part of the skeletal system, these are part of the anatomy of the muscle itself, we still consider them to be accessory structures to our synovial joint. So tendons, remember, are part of the muscular system, not the skeletal system, but they are important in helping to stabilize the joint. So your tendon, remember, is the connection of the muscle to the bone, so it's part of the muscle anatomy. And that's it for now.